welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 80. It's me, Sigma. Before I let you know who I'm joined by today, real quick, we'll go over what our topics shall be. Not too much this week, but first off, we'll be tackling some scuttlebutt around the Marvel Universe that says that the Blade movie is not looking too good. Mahershala Ali is apparently complaining about a bunch of things. We'll dive into what that could mean for the franchise, the actor, the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, etc. Afterwards, we finally got word from on high that Google Stadia is officially being shut down at the beginning of next year. So we all saw, the writing was on the wall with this, but we'll kind of, I guess, give a retrospective as to kind of what went wrong with that service, what we maybe hoped for, and maybe why Google did some of the things that they did. Because honestly, it's kind of ridiculous. But here to talk to me about these topics today, Superman Jeff,
Hey, yep.
Fat Stacks,
What's going on, y'all?
and Yokina Cat.
Hey y'all.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. So glad to have you here. Before we dive into the main stuff, though, as usual, we like to kind of just warm us up with some what we've been playing, watching, reading. How was your weekend? Type. I mean, I know it's still the weekend technically, but just update us on your lives. We've missed you, me including chat. All of us have missed you collectively. So what do you got? I can go first if people need some time to think.
Um, I mean, I can go if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Go right ahead.
So I haven't been, well, I can't, I've been playing a little bit more than I have the past couple of weeks. Playing a lot of Cyberpunk,
Mhm.
going through Night City. Um, I'm not trying to beat the game. I'm just trying to do all the side stuff. Um, I did hear there's a new game plus coming out. But I'm just honestly just doing all the side quests, and I haven't had fun doing that in the game in quite a while. So that's been a lot of fun. Is tinkering different builds, going
What was
around.
the last one where you kind of focused on side quests and not wanting the game to end?
For Assassin's Creed Origins.
Ah,
That was the
okay.
last one. Yeah, I did everything, all the DLC, all the side quests, all the goodies. But this one was, I've been taking my time, going through all the side quests, all the gigs, all the little crime events that pop up. They added a lot to the game, obviously. Even since I started back playing with patch 1.6, a lot of
Hmm.
stuff from the Edge Runners anime. So it's pretty cool. They added the weapons from there. They actually integrated a like small quest to get those things, so you could actually you learn that those characters existed in this cyberpunk world as well.
Right, like it's very much just an extension of specifically CD Projekt Red's Night City,
Right.
like that anime takes place in. So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And honestly, you and Blue kind of talking about your ventures back into that game has made me a little bit more curious because like I played through it near launch and I did not have a ton of tech issues, like
Mhm.
just things here and there, but I thought it was just kind of a middling experience. Like if they really have improved stuff like the AI and like the traffic flows and pedestrians and like all these other minor things, maybe it has kind of all elevated it to something a little better than what I experienced. So I'm a little curious. And now that you said that there's a new game plus coming out, I might want to run back through some of it.
Right. So
Like,
like the I had no issues. I think a lot of issues
mhm.
were on last gen systems to where they were trying to put it out on both, and there was a lot of stuff. So like the new DLC that's coming out is next gen only, so that way they don't have to.
You're not bogged down by the
Right.
older consoles. I mean,
Unfortunately,
did they ever get them actually functional on the older ones, or was that still kind of
no, they got it
just
functional.
rough?
So
They did.
all the
Okay.
patches and stuff kind of got it functional on last gen. Um, but the new DLC, Phantom Night City or something like that, I think it is going to
Hmm.
be only on next gen system. And this quest I came across that I had no idea it existed. Like there's some type of conspiracy to brainwash people and stuff like that. Like I think the new DLC is supposed to deal with some stuff related to that, like the whole like people's memories being erased and implanted and stuff like that. So it's been really a really fun experience. We were playing around the same time. I just stopped playing it. I don't know
Yeah.
what I started playing besides that, but like now I've been going through everything, like the whole because you started a corporal lifestyle, right?
Did I? No, I think I was one of those
Oh,
street
you're a
what do they
street
call
kid.
it?
You're a street
Street
kid.
kid. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's babies. Yeah, that's what they call it. But yeah, I did a Nomad, so which is pretty interesting. Um, Aside from Cyberpunk, I've been playing Fortnite no build mode.
Yeah, you've been playing a lot of Fortnite,
I've been playing a lot of
weirdly enough.
Fortnite, no build mode. You know, got a couple people in the Discord. Will plays a lot.
Hmm.
TJ plays a lot. I play with Matt a couple times and a couple times with a couple other people. But like, if you would have asked me about Fortnite, I was like, I ain't playing like goddamn Fortnite. Like, no, no, thank you, not for me. Um, but when I played no build mode, I was like, let me download it, let me give it a try. I've been meaning to. Let's just give it a try. And I played it. I was like, this is fun. And it's specifically the no build mode that's fun for me because we went into a build mode by accident or something, and I just hated it.
Uh-huh.
I left right away because you'll shoot somebody once and then they done built the whole.
Yeah, they just turned it.
Yeah.
My son Adam, he doesn't really play like the battle royale mode,
Hmm.
but he has learned how to build like that.
Mm.
He would practice just basically spinning in a circle and erecting a freaking tower. Like, so he's actually really fast and really good at that.
Damn. Because that's what the survival mode was. It was just building. It was just building,
Yeah,
surviving
yeah.
ways of zombies and stuff like that. But like, I just don't have it. Like, I shoot you and then I gotta wait for you to finish building, and I'm like, okay, now can we finish the fight? Like, no. Like, the no build mode is fun, hands down. Like, where I wasn't excited about the skins before, I'm excited about them now because now I actually enjoy the game. Like the
Okay.
collaborations, I'll run around and see characters like Black Panther, I'll see Moon Knight, I'll see Thor, you'll see like obviously Goku, Vegeta Renew, you see like trying to think of some of the other ones I've seen.
Oh, there's
Uh
a lot. Like, you could name something
yeah,
completely at random, just pull it out of your ass, and it's probably in Fortnite.
yeah, just like oh man, like that's dope. Like I remember Will was telling me he had like over 200 skins. I was like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, Will is
And
down
that's a
bad for
lot
some
of skins.
Fortnite.
So like, oh my God. But like it was fun. I played with him and I played with a couple of his friends and stuff. And we had a great time. And then like I said, I played a couple more times after that. Besides that, I got back into multiverses.
Hmm.
Um
New character just dropped, right?
yeah, Rick dropped. They dropped Rick. Rick is fun. I didn't unlock him yet. I think I need like 50 more gold coins. I wasn't in a rush. I was like, I'll get back into it. But you can play him in the lab. Like you don't have to purchase him just to give him a try. You can play him in the lab on like the practice mode to make sure it's a character that you're comfortable spending the money on. What I don't like is they keep going back and forth between this character's 3,000 gold, this character's 2,000 gold. Like just leave it either or. Either they're 3,000
Hmm.
gold or they're 2,000 gold. Like I don't like the back and forth. But Rick's pretty fun. He's pretty fun. Got a lot of moves from the series. Obviously, he has his portal gun. He has
Like that. I'm curious how the portal gun works in a like a mascot fighter,
right.
because in the show it literally takes him to just other places. Like, do they
Mhm.
use it like a portal, like Valve's portal type portal gun, where he just comes from one location into another and he like has free reign over that? Like, I'm curious how that actually
Exactly.
functions.
So he can go through he'll come out the other side. So you can aim where you want the other side to come out.
Right.
And then that's where you'll exit at. I think you can go back through it. Your allies can pop through it. You can shoot projectiles through it, stuff like that.
Okay.
Similar to like Morty's ability. He puts out like this, he has like a little teleporting thing too, which kind of works almost similar to the way Rick's works. Um
Okay.
Aside from playing, I've been watching The Rings of Power. Been really good. Last episode was definitely something to behold. Um,
Yeah, a lot of hype around that.
yeah,
Whatever's going on in that show.
yeah, it's really good, really good stuff. I love the representation. You got black elves, you got black dwarves, you got um black Harfoots, little hobbit peoples. So it's definitely a lot of representation, which I'm loving. Also, I've been watching Andor. Andor has been really good. 4 episodes are out. It's definitely more of a, and this isn't a spoiler, it's more of a the the way people had to pretend during the like time of the empire where you had these people who were actually rebels but had to pretend they weren't
Uh
on
huh.
risk of being discovered and obviously the things they would have done to them type situation. But like put it
So
on.
is it like a kind of a spy story, like
Yeah, you can see
espionage
it.
type?
You can see it as an espionage type spy story. What was that other one that was like? No, well, no, this wasn't. Can't think of the name of it, but it's really good. Nice and gritty. It's definitely a story that hasn't been told before, from an angle that hasn't been told before in the Star Wars series. So it's pretty good. Aside from that, that's all I've been watching.
Okay, I mean, there's a couple of comments in chat about Fortnite, like they never left the Fortnite
Ooh,
discussion there. Drew Bird specifically says, "I remember when no one would dare touch Fortnite." That's true, especially in our Discord. Folks were like very anti Fortnite, and there were a couple of holdouts who were like, "Hey guys, I'm playing Fortnite," and everyone would be like, "Boo, get out of here." But that sentiment seems to be changing, especially with the no build stuff. So I don't know. I'm curious now. I might jump into it soon. I'll probably try and play with my son first before I play with any of you guys, because he more than anyone has been begging me to
yes,
try
see, yeah,
Fortnite.
see, you can't even try it.
So
Um,
I don't know. I'll see what that's like. But Ash in chat says, I want to say they should have had a no build mode much earlier, but it was like a major differing mechanic from others battle royales. So it makes sense that they wanted it for a while before doing it, and
but
that I think
yeah,
is true.
it
Yeah,
was
like the fact that
popular.
they
Yeah,
had all this building and stuff in it is like that's what makes us different than the thing they legitimately copied, which was
right.
PUBG, right? So like I get it. Yeah, that was kind of a big part of their identity. But now that they're very comfortable and kind of sitting at the top of that throne, like why not just throw in the no build mode?
Yeah, and then the thing is, how much more people did they bring in with the no build mode? People who wouldn't
Right.
have played it but otherwise are playing it now
Exactly.
because of no build.
True. But if that does it for Jeff, anybody else trying to jump in? I mean, I can go next. I haven't been playing a ton, but I did just get a review finished for Shovel Knight Dig.
Nice. Is that like a?
Um,
Tell us what that is.
Shovel Knight Dig. If you're familiar with the Shovel Knight games, Shovel Knight is kind of an ode to old school platformers like Mega Man and the Ducktales game back on NES
Oh, I
and
remember
whatnot.
that. Yeah.
You do?
Hmm.
Okay, so a lot of similar mechanics, lots of kind of Metroidvania esque exploration and uncovering abilities and fighting bosses and whatnot. Shovel Knight Dig does away with a lot of the convention of that and adopts a bunch of roguelite elements. So I know for some people roguelite is like, oh no, get me out of here. But it continues to be a super fun platformer. Like the level progression is basically screen to screen,
Mm.
whereas you deal with all the enemies and hazards in a screen, but instead of going left to right, you're going down, and
Hmm.
like you use your shovel to dig through dirt to kind of progress either left, right, or down through the level, and then once you reach the end of the screen, then it transitions to the next screen, and all those screens are kind of randomly generated. They're not they're like they're like set pieces. Like they're pre-built, but they will randomly show up in different orders.
Okay.
So you'll get like maybe 5 or 6 screens before you reach like a checkpoint and then get to like the stage 2 version of a particular area. But you could get 4 or 5 different stages on different runs, if that makes any sense.
No,
So
no, it
like
makes
you
sense.
like over time you'll eventually maybe see the same like screen, but that screen won't necessarily show up in the same place every time. And sometimes you won't get it at all, is what I mean. So like nothing is like completely randomly made up by like computers or whatever, to the point where stuff starts looking really samey, or
Mm.
it's just like a bad design level because an AI made it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the levels are good, but you will start seeing some of them over and over if you keep playing a bunch. But I mean, it's built for repetition. Like it's a situation where you're collecting like a bunch of money. You're trying to get as far as you can on like a single run. Um, they have a lot of helpful rogue light, like the light part elements that keep progression. Like you keep a good portion of your money to buy stuff that will show up later
Hmm.
in the holes and whatnot, and to buy like different armor that'll help you get further and whatnot. So honestly, I've just been like, it's kind of addicting in that way, because it's like, oh, I got this far. I know I can do better because I got further last time. So you immediately jump back
Okay.
in and then try to beat how far you got the last time, and then you get really far, and then you're like, all right, there's a mechanic that lets you buy a shortcut to kind of start back at like the furthest starting point,
Hmm.
So it's like it was a really good way to keep pushing me to try and get further and further, because it's like, all right, I made this much progress, and that much progress is at least saved. I don't have to go all the way back to the beginning to get back there. So like everything else about it also is kind of top notch. Like the older Shovel Knight games were all copying the 8-bit style. So like,
Hmm.
really tiny sprites, like kind of dim looking colors and whatnot. But this one is copying like 16-bit era, like Super Mario World and onward. So like everything like looks really really good. Like it's very expressive sprite animations for everything. Like a really good sound, really good chiptune music backing up everything. So like if you're like a fan of that era, like if you grew up on like Super Nintendo like I did, like it really does invoke like a lot of nostalgia and memories of just all like the blinky blinging sounds and like chirps and whatever. And just the look and feel of everything. Like it's really good. Like I'm like I finished the game, but I'm probably gonna keep playing it in all honesty. Like especially if I don't like, if I have like a tiny bit of time, I just want to get in a couple runs. That's something I could just throw on and do for like maybe 15, 20 minutes.
I can see that. Okay.
So that's been really fun. I'm sorry, you had a question?
No, I said no. I can see that. No, no, no. That sounds cool.
Oh, all right.
Now,
Mhm.
did did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I
Pretty sure that's a sentiment I just had this whole
don't know. You could have just been,
this.
could just been kind
No,
of.
I liked it a lot. I liked
Okay.
it a lot. I'm a fan. I've not played any of the previous ones though. Like I was honestly, I was staying away from them because of the look. Like I kind of don't like that older NES look.
Mm.
Same reason why I didn't really want to mess with that. What do you call it? That Castlevania Symphony of the Night
Oh,
spiritual
okay.
successor,
Yeah. Was it
Bloodstained.
mhm.
Like that had like an 8-bit demake that came out as well. And like I didn't touch the Mega Man 9 and 10. Well, I played 10 a little bit because I just had it on PlayStation back in the day. But like those were new games. Well, new, relatively new. They came out like several years ago now, but they were much newer than the original 8 NES Mega Mans.
Mhm.
But they made it in that style. So like I kind of just bounced off of them. But yeah, I really like Shovel Knight Dig. Outside of that, though, in terms of playing, not much else I can think of at the moment. At least not anything I can talk about. But
So you keep the
I've been
secrets.
right to jump back onto the cyberpunk thing for a little bit. Like I'm still working my way through Edge Runners. Like I haven't had a ton of time to binge anything lately. So
Mm.
it's like I'll watch one episode here and there. Um, and again, like I still have the same critique is that like from Trigger, I expect like really high octane, like over the top like story and situations, and Edge Runners is a lot more calm. But I finally got to the point where it's like, you know what, I'm okay with this.
Right.
Like I've been wanting this from Trigger, but this story is actually a lot more in line with something like Cowboy Bebop,
I
where it's
can,
like,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's a real somber tone to everything. And like, yeah, there's like action set pieces which are really well done for sure, but like that's kind of not the draw.
Hmm.
Like the draw is like this sort of melancholy story of like this main character, and like how Night City in particular kind of just chews people up and
Right.
spits them out.
Like there are no happy endings in Night City.
Yeah, like, and honestly, that portion has made me come to terms a little bit with the game, because the game is very similar to that. Like the character you play is just another edge runner
Hmm.
or whatnot who is trying to make a name for himself in this city that kind of just gives no one a chance unless they, they kind of just go to the extreme in certain situations, right? Like your life would be just straight up garbage if you didn't just play by the city's rules and become just a menace to society.
Right. Like, do you know the
But like
history
for
of Night City? Like, did you ever like listen to any of that stuff? Like,
yeah, I think there's like documents and
right.
stuff in the game that I would read here and there. Like I'm not sure how much of it I remember at this point, but like yeah, like the world was always super interesting. Like I wanted the story to maybe deal with more of that,
Hmm.
but the story was specifically about the character that they created, V, and I
Right.
just didn't like V.
Yeah,
And
you,
like
yeah.
I still don't really like V,
It's
but I can
messed
at the
up.
very least appreciate what they were trying to do. Like this is it's more so this is a world and this is one story in it,
Right.
and that's what they were trying to go for versus let's learn about Night City through this character and this character's interactions with everything else in it, which is a little bit more what I wanted in like a big open world RPG. Like
Hmm.
for the first outing, I think like for subsequent ones, I think it makes more sense to just tell more insular stories. But the first one, I think we needed more of a broader introduction to kind of what that world was through a character. So like I still kind of hold on to that criticism, but I don't know. I'm a lot more curious to go back and try it thanks to Edge Runners for those reasons. But I'm on like episode 7.
Okay, so you
Or
probably
just
have to,
finished episode 7. So
yeah.
like I'm almost finished with it now.
I would hope if they do another season, they don't follow David again. They do another
Hmm.
story within Night City. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
and I
saying?
could get behind that
Yeah, like
because cause that's kind of the tone of what they're showing is just, especially like with the references to like, oh, these characters who you know from there and those characters that you know from there, like people just are in the city
right.
and like they may cross paths, they may not. So like that, I think that's a cool concept for a show, and because of because the show has now introduced that in that way, I
Mhm.
feel like that can work for the game as well.
Right. And the way that they updated it and it kind of made it seem like it was part of the game all along, where you kind of like if you play the game now, there'll be quests for certain stuff
Yeah, like there's
that
stuff that relates to
right.
that show now, right?
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think that all works really well. Um, but outside of like more nerd stuff, um, I watched Hocus Pocus 2.
Nice. You
Like
you
that.
loved it.
Yeah, to be 100% honest, I kind of did love it.
I know. I can
Like
tell.
I kind of did love Hocus Pocus 2. Like it's been so long since I watched the first one. Like my fiance watched it with my son because he'd never seen none of them.
Mhm.
They watched the first one. I was busy doing other stuff, so I was just seeing bits and pieces, and didn't remember anything about what was going on screen. Like I would sit and watch for like maybe 2-3 minutes and be like, "Oh, that's funny. Wait, what's going on here?"
Mhm.
Like just no memory whatsoever. So I still don't really know what the hell happened in one, but two, without spoiling anything, gives you a lot more context for the three witches, like the three sisters.
Right.
Um, and it's very much a story about them, even though there's brand new characters in the plot who have to deal with them. And I don't remember where does the first movie also take place in Salem, Massachusetts?
Honestly, I don't remember. I remember bits and pieces of it because it was like so long ago.
I mean,
Um,
I'm assuming it does because like some stuff kind of points to that, but
yeah.
like yeah, they're still in the same place or whatnot. But there's new people dealing with them, and honestly, it's like they don't make movies like this anymore.
Right.
And like it's it's odd for me to say that because like I don't have the most nostalgia for movies like these very kid friendly, family friendly live action movies that like they're very goofy. They're like there's a lot of clown-ish behavior in them,
Right.
which as a kid I always thought was immature even then. But like younger kids love that sort of stuff. Like they're way into it. And honestly, as a parent now, like I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like this is lighthearted. Like it's inoffensive. Even though like they're throwing around the word kill like all the time. They're talking about hell and Satan or whatever. It's like it's so lighthearted that none of that actually has the kind of impact that you would want your kid to be, concerned about, in my
Right.
opinion. So I don't know, like even the special effects in it, like they don't bother to update stuff. Like you can still kind of see the goofiness of like wires, like when people fly in the air, like it's very goofy. Like the green screen doesn't look great, but like that's all part of the charm
Right.
of that kind of a movie. So like I really like that they kept all of that kind of simple in that way. And honestly, Bette Midler, has she won an Oscar? She's won an Oscar, right?
I would think
Like
so.
I know she's a singer, but Bette Midler was acting her ass off in probably the first movie as well because I was seeing bits and pieces of that. But this second one, damn, like for a role like this, like she was legit just acting her ass off. Like she put her heart and soul into this role. Like I think they really legit love playing those witches.
And they do such a good job. Like even before they announced, or even before two came out, I think they did like a commercial or something at some point, and it was just like they're just so into character. Like you couldn't tell they haven't played these characters in like years.
Seriously, yeah, seriously. Like they jumped right back into those roles, and like they all look like they were having like a great time. So it's really fun. Like if you have any nostalgia at all for the first movie, you'll probably really like the second one.
Especially this time
Because
of
I
year.
forgot everything about it, and I still liked it.
It's a good Halloween movie to check out.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Reminds me of the old Ernest movies.
Oh, I used to love Ernest.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Oh
real.
man, Ernest was the junk, man. Ernest Saves Christmas.
Yeah. Ernest Goes to
Yeah.
Jail. There was a Halloween one too. I can't remember what that one was called.
Yes,
But
no,
yeah,
he
it's
had a
that
lot.
level
Yeah.
of kind of just goofy family fun. But that pretty much does it for me.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Fast Axe Cat, you guys got anything for us?
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you.
Always the gentleman.
Thank you. I am. I'm really not playing a lot. Like, the staple in my household is Apex Legends. So, I am struggling to get out of. I don't know. Like, it's split ranked. Like, we just had our split rank. So I don't know what's going on, but it's been really hard to even just get out of bronze. I don't know why. But I'm struggling a little in that department. I did start a new game
Can
yesterday.
you tell me a little bit more about like what split rank does?
So it basically resets like your ranks, from my understanding. So let's say I'm an Apex Predator, you're Diamond, and then Superman Jeff is Gold. It's the highest you can get is Apex Predator, and then at each split rank, it basically resets it. It resets your rank.
Oh, okay, so everyone just goes back to beginning to work their way back up.
Well, it's like depending on what your level is. Like, so depending on what your level is, if you're like Diamond or Masters, you'll probably get put back into like Platinum
Okay,
or Gold. Yeah. So it just depends. Yeah, it kind of just resets your rank. So it's been really hard for me to get out of bronze for some reason. But so that I haven't played Tekken actually in a while. In a while, I mean like 2 weeks, but
no, that counts. That's fair.
Right. Yeah. So I haven't really been playing much Tekken. I did start a new game yesterday. Well, at least for me, Monster Hunter. So
oh yeah, you know what? I just saw you post your character creator picture on Twitter.
Yeah,
you're playing on PlayStation.
Yeah, on PlayStation. Yeah. So
which Monster Hunter? I'm sorry.
Iceborne.
Oh, okay. So World.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World. Yeah, I just went ahead and just bought the whole thing. I saw it on PlayStation, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna pay this much for that, I might as well just pay $50 for the expansion. So, I went ahead and bought that. So, I'm excited because I've watched people stream it all the time, and I was like, this looks really fun, but I just never. I'm such a creature of habit when it comes to video games, so it's really hard for me to branch out. Like, if I find games that I really like, I will stick to those. Stick to those games. So, I mean, I didn't start playing Apex Legends until the end of season 6. So, and then Tekken, I've been playing that since it came out like in 2017, 18. Nice. So yeah, it's hard for me to branch out, but I'm excited. It looks like it's a lot of fun. I just went through like like Red Dead Redemption 2, you have to go through like 2 or 3 missions before you can play online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. And then hopefully all my friends are like higher levels than I am. Yeah. So, so I'm just I'm just a noob in the Monster Hunter world. Watching just the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power on Amazon Prime. I don't know if y'all saw this, but did y'all see that Crunchyroll removed Bleach?
They removed Bleach? No.
Yeah, so apparently I guess like Disney Plus and Crunchyroll were going to bat over the streaming rights, and I guess Disney Plus won because Bleach is no longer on Crunchyroll.
Oh wow.
What?
Yeah.
So is that so Disney Plus is where the new stuff is gonna
I think so. Like, was it the thousand
weird.
Blood War? The thousand
Yeah.
Blood War. I think it's gonna be streaming on Disney Plus. Yeah.
I think I don't know if because I heard the same thing, but I think they reverted back to it being on Crunchyroll. If I last checked that, because that was I heard that at first too. That Disney Plus don't beat out Crunchyroll for it, and then I heard, it was a joke. It's gonna be on Crunchyroll.
I don't know if
from my understanding, I think they actually took it off. Like, it's no longer there. So I thought that was pretty surprising.
Ooh, wow,
that's crazy that Disney Plus would be
that's
trying
gonna
to acquire rights to an anime. But I guess they're trying to get a little bit of everything on there.
I feel like we were hearing rumblings of Disney trying to do more anime stuff in the past. Like they like somehow they okayed that Star Wars Visions project, which like just contracted a bunch of anime houses to make Star Wars things with like no strings attached. It's like, hey, you don't gotta adhere to lore or whatever, just do what you want. Right? Like that was kind of out of the box.
That's true.
It doesn't surprise me that they try to start selling you anime.
But that's closer in line with what they're doing is Star Wars is Star Wars, you know what I'm saying? But like for them to get something that they weren't previously connected to is interesting.
But that's everything they do. Like they got Marvel, which they weren't previously connected to. They got Star Wars, which they weren't previously connected to. Like they'll
so yeah,
just like Microsoft that way. They'll buy their way into the zeitgeist.
Ooh, I'm all about buying.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird. I was like, okay, cool. So, but other than that, I've just been watching. I think the second season of Spy Family came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second core. Yep.
Yeah, so I gotta get on that. Reading. All right, y'all are gonna. I don't know why I'm about to do this on live stream.
Live stream.
But I'm rereading Dragon Ball Z.
Nice. Wait.
Oh man.
Wait, yes. Starting from Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z? Or
I'm starting from Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
I have
reading. Why the manga? Any particular reason?
I actually really enjoy the manga. Is it
different than the show?
We've talked about this before. I really like the manga. I just don't like the fanboys of Dragon Ball Z. And we all know this. Yeah. Like it's like I compare the Dragon Ball Z fanboys to like the Beehive of Beyonce or the Barbs of Nicki Minaj. They're just like completely just completely like insane.
There's an absolute Venn diagram in terms of annoyingness and those fan bases.
Like, yeah, if you're a stan, you're a stan, absolutely. But when I say that though, it's like gives you like a comparison of like how hard they ride. No pun intended. Pause for Goku. But it's like
I would agree with that one. That's nonsense.
It's just crazy. Like it's just crazy. But no, I'm reading it, and I've always liked the manga. I didn't say that I didn't like the anime. I just don't like the fanboys, and I've made that very clear, Jeff. And Sigma, you know that.
Can he beat Yusuke? Is the question.
Yes, absolutely. That no denying that. No denying. And Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite anime, so but no doubt about it. If we're going based off of like the show and the manga, yeah, I'm sorry. Goku can definitely beat Yusuke, but he cannot beat Sailor Moon. But that's a conversation for another day. Boom. But other than that, I'm not really doing much. My new job is amazing. I love it. Right. Just a tidbit on what I'm up to. So law is a very interesting field to be in. I'm doing a lot of reading and a lot of research, and I've only been in my job for almost a month now, but I'm really, really enjoying it. And yeah, it's really exciting. My office, and now to my surprise, I thought I was going to be in like a bullpen kind of area. So like a couple days before I started, I had contacted HR and said, "Oh, is there going to be like a space where I can put like little knickknacks or like pictures of my family?" And they're like, "Oh, you get your own office." So I was like really pleasantly surprised. Yeah. So it's completely bare. But I did take some pops in there. And some anime stuff. So hopefully I don't want it to turn into like a streaming room, but now that I'm looking at it, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, this looks like it's turning into like a streaming room. Maybe I should dial it back a little bit. Like it's, I have like Sailor Moon stuff and my Yu Yu Hakusho pops and other things. So it's pretty cool. So that's just a little bit on what I've been up to and stuff like that. So
nice. Very happy for you.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
That just leaves the Fat Stacks. What have you been up to?
And I've been busy with the side stuff, but when it comes to watching, like I've been waiting on Spy Family. That's another one that's coming out, and of course, My Hero. They started the War arc that just came out. There's a few ones too.
I didn't know that was back.
Yeah, the War arc. They just started that. Actually, and it's funny because there's some other ones that I've been looking at too, like of course Bleach, and then there's a few other anime that I was looking at. I was like, oh yeah, Kingdom season 5 is like 2024. I don't know if any of you watch Kingdom. Blue Lock, if you guys like soccer anime, Blue Lock is supposed to be out here shortly.
That or another one that like I saw a preview. I was like, I need to watch this soccer anime.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it was Blue Lock.
It's Io. It's I always chop and screw the name Io Ayoshi.
Yeah,
that's the soccer anime you're talking about.
Okay,
to catch up on, and then
that I want to watch.
Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? That's coming out in January. Mob Psycho. Mob Psycho is
that's
supposed
a very
to be
interesting. Am I supposed to pick up girls in a dungeon? That's the name of the anime.
Yeah, it's a
very strange title.
The title throws you off.
That's kind of
But the anime itself is
Are
pretty
you sure
good.
it's anime? Okay, all right. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
I've watched anime. Trust me, I'm a big anime head, and when I first saw it, I'm like,
I'm afraid to click on that.
When I tell you I've watched all anime, let me tell you I've watched all anime. So don't let the name fool you, because it's actually pretty good. What's the other one that's kind of similar to that? I mean, there are quite a few isekais that are like that, but this one is more like a dungeon crawler somewhat.
Yeah, like it has. It's not even an isekai though. Right?
Not fully,
but there's this weird kind of video game overlay to how things function. But like video games aren't a thing. It's like we, the audience, recognize it as that. Right. But to them, it's kind of just
the way of life. Yeah.
But it's not like a full blown, like what you're used to. But the fights are actually pretty good in that anime.
Yeah, I think it does have a strong start. So. But I don't know. I've started to get a little lukewarm on its storytelling.
The last season was a little rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it is coming back, I do hope they kind of turn away from where they have been going.
Because this season seemed like a filler.
More about the pickup girls in dungeon part of the title.
But
especially this last season,
yeah. So
all right, I'll trust y'all.
Give it a shot.
Yeah,
it's pretty tame in terms of fan service.
Look,
I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay. Just storytelling wise, it over time has started to lean more towards the harem trope in just an uninteresting way. I felt like, but like there's still potential for it to turn things around. So like I'm curious about this new season and if they'll actually do that.
I've come to the realization, and I'm starting to accept that as a woman that loves anime and a woman that loves manga, that there's going to be some type of fan service in any anime. Unfortunately.
I personally don't mind it as long as it's like,
and I get it.
One, it makes sense, or two, it's equal opportunity.
Yeah,
like because that's one of the things that I really liked about.
Look, I don't know if this is too vulgar for your stream or not. Excuse me, Sigma, but I'm just waiting to see some gray sweatpants in a manga. That's really where look, equal opportunity. Okay.
Like have you watched Kill la Kill?
Kill la Kill. Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go.
Because Kill la Kill.
Yeah, Kill la Kill is
both ways.
Yes,
Kill la Kill is like, hey, if you like some TNA,
give me a black anime character with a fresh fade, some gray sweatpants, and some Nike slides, and I'll be happy. Just do that for me, and I'll be happy.
I think
hear that.
I think you might want to watch Kill la Kill.
Okay, then
I think you might be describing Kill la Kill.
Kill la Kill, yeah. Kill la Kill.
But I digress. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take over his part of.
No, you.
No.
Kill la Kill is definitely one of the unique ones, and it started right off the bat like, oh, like it's just like whoa. So, but
I will give it a try though. What's it called? Is
Kill la Kill?
Can I? Is it okay for me to put girls in a dungeon? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Is it wrong to pick?
Is it wrong? Okay, I will. I will make a note, and I'll get back to you, Stacks, on that.
So there's also a ton of other stuff that I've been trying to actually go back through my anime library and rewatch a lot of stuff because of the fact that I deal with an anime store and stuff. I want to make sure I would like to get certain figures, certain stuff for people, not just the same old that everybody knows, but I'm trying to get into some of the older stuff. Right. So I'm trying to go back and rewatch some of the anime, the older stuff. The newer stuff I'm not too much worried about, but like she was saying, like Yu Yu Hakusho, I had a few items of that type of stuff. Very hard to get, very expensive too.
Oh yeah, stuff like that, like Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, Bleach. Well, because of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, they're actually coming out with more items, more figures because of that, and I've been able to get my hands on some decent stuff. So, but that's not until like end of this year into next year. So yeah, a lot of the like newer anime that you see coming out, there have been some items coming out, just like a Trigun. I used to have a lot of the old Trigun stuff, but because Trigun is coming back out again, they're putting out some stuff for Trigun.
But this new stuff would be like the new art style, right?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it more than likely it will be. I would hope that maybe they try to bring back some of the old stuff because I had some of the old stuff. as well. So, trying to find a decent balance between the old and the new stuff. So, but yeah, like, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I have a plug overseas. I have a friend stationed in Japan. So they have sent me some of the coolest Yu Yu Hakusho stuff that's like limited edition over in Japan. They've sent me like some really cool stuff. So whenever they find something like Yu Yu Hakusho like related, like for my birthday, they sent me these really cool. I'll just put it in the open party Discord.
But no, you don't have to. You're just trying to make people jealous. I mean,
like these really cool like 3D figurines, and it's like if Yu Yu Hakusho doesn't do anything correct, their fits are A1, like just awesome, like the 90s aesthetic.
Yeah, them boys can dress.
Yeah, they can dress. So like the little figurines they sent me, they're like in their 90s type of styles, not like their normal like school uniforms. So yeah, I can definitely see like how older animes they're becoming like and then a great example would be like Avatar Last Airbender that came out in like 2004 2005. So obviously we saw that as teenagers or as young adults, and now that it's obviously just become popular again, there's all this new like merch and stuff coming out on it. So I'll have to look for some Trigun stuff. That's interesting.
The older Trigun stuff, I was lucky enough, but as soon as I got them, people already had bought them. So trying to get the hands on the older stuff is, if you got a plug in Japan, it's because a lot of those items don't make it over here for whatever reason. And those items, particularly if they do make it over here, you're talking about hundreds of dollars. And it's not even a joke. It's for those type of items.
Yeah, folks don't play about their figures and
colors. Yeah, so
there's big money to be made in that whole market.
So I'm definitely trying to rewatch a lot of the older stuff. And it's funny because I was flipping open my DVDs and I went back to my VHS tapes of some of the older anime stuff. And I was trying. Yes, I did say VHS tapes. That's how.
You still have a working VCR?
Yeah. I still have a working VCR.
That's wild.
So I'm not trying to.
You just told your age,
right? So yeah, I actually have it every once in a while. I have to dust it off and put a VHS tape in there and make sure it works and whatever. But yeah, I keep that stuff like in a climate controlled in my room and stuff because I don't want it messed up. So, right. But
I'm sorry, I just keep interrupting you.
Go ahead.
So my brother, he is that's kind of like how I got into like anime and video games, or my two older brothers. But in his office at his house, he has like an old RCA. Was that one of the brands of TVs?
Yes, RCA. Yep.
He has like
because I have a Panasonic and an RCA actually.
He has like a 32-inch like RCA in his office, right? And the quality on that thing is actually really, really good. And what he did is he has a PS2, Dreamcast, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, Sega Gen, and he has a breaker.
Old school stuff.
Yeah, he has like a breaker. So he literally pushes like a button and it connects all of them all at once to the TV. So he hooks them all into like, I guess, this little breaker box kind of thing. And then it's really amazing. And the quality, like I was playing a few weeks ago, I was actually playing Dead or Alive 3 on the Xbox. And it actually looked really, really good. Yeah, so that's just really interesting that, I'm more of an older video game person myself. So that's really cool that you still have VHSs from.
Yeah, I showed pictures of it like years ago on my Instagram. Every now and again, it'll, even on my Facebook, it'll come up like, hey, this memory. And I'm like, oh, every once in a while, I'll share like, you still got these things? Do they actually work? Like, yeah, every once in a while, I try to make sure it works. And eventually it's not going to work.
Eventually. Yeah, so what you got to do is take a VCR repair class and then just maintain the damn thing yourself.
Sigma. Next thing you know, we're gonna see his collection in the Congress Library of Congress.
So
like that 200-year-old flute that Lizzo just played. We're gonna see his VHS collection there.
I was like, really? I'm like, okay. Okay. So, but yeah,
that's what's up. You got to keep that stuff alive because at some point it'll all just break and degrade and just not be available.
Well, see, like Berserk just came out on Crunchyroll with their pretty much retelling the story of Guts and Griffin. Yeah. So, and it's funny because I still have the DVDs of the original Berserk. All the, like, you know what I mean? So every once in a while I'll rewatch that. So like, oh, at least I'm glad they're bringing the art back out where people can actually see the original art style of Berserk versus what they showed this last time, because it's two totally different styles. I mean, yeah, they've done, a little touch up here, touch up there that some people have liked. But I'm like, after seeing Berserk, you know what I mean, in the old school, in that type of fashion, it's rough sometimes trying to, look at some of the newer stuff. But other than that, I mean, like playing with Apex, yeah, I've been trying to, Apex is just frustration. So Apex is Apex. So a few of us, we try to get on and run ranked and that's it.
It sounds like everyone's kind of having a rough go of it.
But Mario Kart with the new courses coming out here, this should be coming out soon in December, I think. So they've already had another set that came out a while back, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So trying to get back into that, but really just trying to get my anime stuff set and right. So, hopefully,
no, that's important work. You're doing God's work.
So I'll try to put out some quality stuff for y'all. So
true. But that's what's up. Thank you so much for sharing. That took some time, but I appreciate that because we only have 2 topics anyway.
Yeah.
We'll jump into our first one here. Marvel's Blade movie. I think the latest news we got about this project was that Mahershala Ali was frustrated. Apparently, they only had. But first of all, the first news we heard about this that started kind of looking rough was that the director, for who this was apparently a passion project, the director was really gung-ho about getting this movie made, left the project.
Right.
So like they were without a director. And then we hear that the script was only like 90 pages long, that there was like very little dialogue from Blade in the movie, and that there were like 2 lackluster action sequences that made up the entire movie. So folks were not happy. Things were not looking great. They've since, I think, brought in a new
writer.
Writer. Who's going to just retool the entire script and whatnot.
It was the same writer who worked on Moon Knight and
Moon Knight. Yes.
I forgot what the other thing was.
So I'm curious, like, what were you guys' perception after hearing some of this news that Blade wasn't going well? Because like this isn't the first time a Marvel movie has had sort of a change up of directors or like kind of worries in terms of production. But like this one seems especially kind of problematic.
I kind of feel like with all the projects that Marvel or Disney has going on with all the Disney Plus shows and all the films, when I read through what you had sent us, Sigma, I kind of feel like it just essentially just slipped through the cracks. Like I think it wasn't even though, like you said, the person that was so gung-ho about pushing the project is no longer there. So now it's just kind of like it was like a toss-up essentially. Like, okay, it's still going to be in production. We're still going to do it, but it didn't have as much importance as the other projects, I guess, they have going on. And it kind of
isn't that insane though? Like,
no, that's what I'm saying though. Like
Blade that has Oscar nominated. I don't know if Mahershala has won an Oscar either, but he was at least nominated. Mahershala Ali.
No, he won one for.
He won for
True Detective, wasn't he? That?
No, it was the
Moonlight, Moon something.
Moonlight.
Yeah, he won it for Moonlight. Yeah,
and then he was nominated actor. And he was nominated on your payroll right now. And you're telling me it's not a high priority for them to get this
and not even
looking right,
and not even so much the fact that he's an Oscar writer, but just the fact of Blade, like the first 3 Blade movies. I know everyone says, oh, Iron Man saved Marvel, XYZ.
It was Blade.
Blah. It was Blade. It was Blade. Yeah. Blade was a movie on its own.
A rated R film on top of that.
Yeah. So I think it just kind of boggles my mind. Sorry if I'm not making any sense when I talk today. My words are kind of jumbled today, but it doesn't really make much sense to me that given the, I guess, history of the character itself, and on top of that, having an Oscar-winning actor that you're not really putting much effort or importance onto the film. Because I remember when they, like how they always, show or release like this movie's coming out, and then they'll come. I remember when they showed Blade on the screen, and then Marshall Ali came out and put like the Blade hat on. Like everyone went like completely insane. So it's just a little frustrating that I think it said in that article that there was only 90 pages of a script, and then only 2 fighting sequences. So it's just kind of like a 90. Obviously I'm not in the Hollywood media world, but 90 pages doesn't seem like it would be a very long. Maybe like an hour and a half, maybe not a very.
They say for every page it's a minute. If I read that right, for every page is a minute.
Yeah, so it's like an hour and a half film, and I don't think that's doing that character justice. Whatever they're doing, obviously, I hope they get it together. Kind of like the same thing with Black Panther. Everyone was freaking out about Black Panther because Letitia Wright, I hope I pronounced her
Letitia.
Yeah, Letitia.
Yeah.
COVID situation, she didn't want to get vaccinated, on Black Panther.
Yeah, which is holding the movie up and other stuff.
Yeah. So it's just a little interesting to see where this is. I'm interested to see where this is gonna go, and I hope that was the one Marvel film that I have been looking forward to.
Right. Real quick, the other Frost in chat says if Lakeith Stanfield bulked up, I think he'd be a dope ass Blade. I'll be honest, I don't see it.
Yeah,
I feel like that. Man
I don't see it either.
And honestly, I don't want to see a buff Lakeith Stanfield. That's just a weird, scary image to me for some reason.
As far as Blade goes, I think that's a very too much of an important character for some of the stuff to dwell it into. That whole Midnight Suns situation with Moon Knight. You have Werewolf by Night, which just got announced, right? That's where Blade kind of fits with, so if you screw this up, it definitely not only he's one of the most important characters for that other side of the coin from Marvel, but also for people of color in general. Like he's one of the, beside from Black Panther, this is probably the second person of color movie that was announced as a solo movie. Most recently we got Armor War with Don Cheadle, but that wasn't announced until maybe a couple of days ago. Blade was announced for quite a bit. So especially with Marshall Ali being such an amazing actor, like how you screw that up, like as far as Luke Cage goes, he was the best thing in Luke Cage. When they killed off Cottonmouth, to me that show took a real big dive.
Yeah.
But I am glad, because I said this when that story got posted, that he's big enough talent to force a rewrite, to force a change, and I'm glad to see that happened. One of the things they said that is Kevin Feige so spread thin that he didn't really get to see the script as much or whatever it is. If I'm being honest with you, that's why you need to have other people who share your vision or who understand what's going on, so that way they can also oversee some of these things too, so they don't slip through the cracks. Because I think,
but is that not also a symptom of perhaps they are doing too much?
All at one time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Projects, and there's all these TV show projects, and they're all supposed to interlink.
It's like they're trying to keep up with. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's like they're trying to keep. Obviously, Marvel is just this huge world that it's like I kind of feel like instead of focusing on certain stories and that term, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. Like I understand that they're opening up we're in phase 4 of Marvel. Mm-hmm. It just feels like they're just trying to push out so much content, and because they're trying to push out so much content, the quality of that content is kind of
taking a bit of a hit.
It's taking a bit of a hit. So
I disagree in that regard. Like as far as like quality, I think there's been some of the best stuff in phase 4. Not really much. Everything's tied together. Sometimes I don't feel like everything needs to be tied together, but like Miss Marvel, I think was some of the best that Marvel has offered in quite a while, especially as far as being diverse and being something entirely unique and not have to show, Iron Man.
Yeah, I think in those specific aspects, yes, but in others,
the
I think
quality
it's
of
kind of
writing,
cookie
I
cutter.
think I agree. Like as far as the diversity and showing all these different stories and characters, absolutely. But I'm talking more in the sense, Jeff, in the quality of the writing of these stories. I kind of feel like, honestly, like, I watched Miss Marvel and I liked it. I haven't even watched She-Hulk yet, and that's solely based off of like the back and forth like on social media. Like I don't have an interest. Maybe I will. But
I would say you watch it yourself because you have a lot of people who are just.
Yeah, so I'll do that. Like I watch it, but there's been a lot of shows where I've watched it after the fact. Like like some people they watch it right when it comes out. Okay, I have to watch it. All up until like Loki, I didn't watch that until like maybe 2 months after it came out. Yeah, I haven't been. It doesn't feel the same like phase 3. Like where it's like as soon as the movie came out, I was there. Like I was there.
I feel the same. But yeah, it's like the excitement around like whatever the latest Marvel thing was has waned a bit, and I do think it's because there's a lot more of it. So it's like, all right, well, I just finished watching this. Like that thing's coming out. Like I'm not the most hype about that character. I'll get to it when I get to it, and then maybe you just don't. But then it also feels like a big blow to just the entire Marvel concept when you have a big movie like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which I was excited for, and it would just let me down. So
I haven't even seen that yet. I haven't even watched Multiverse of Madness yet. On Disney Plus. The one thing I was excited about, I guess during for like No Way Home, I loved it. I absolutely loved No Way Home.
That was really good. Yeah.
So I just hope they get it together when it comes to Blade because I was really looking forward to it. And I think Mahershala Ali is an amazing fit. He's perfect, I think, for that role. And obviously I don't know the man personally, but given his like the roles he takes, his interviews, and then just like comments I've heard about how he is as a person that fans that have met him, I don't feel like he would have raised his frustrations or his concerns if they weren't legitimate. Like he doesn't seem like he's that type of actor to just complain for no reason. Like I feel like he's like, no, like this is not
going well.
This is hard.
Like if my name's gonna be tied to this,
exactly. Like this is
I'm
hot
gonna
garbage.
say something.
Yes,
now.
yes. Like this is hot garbage.
This
like
is not looking well.
Exactly. So I think
as he should. Yeah.
So I think with that being said, I don't think him being frustrated. It's probably legitimate. I don't think it's something. Sure. I'm sure it's not just. Like Sigma said, like if my name's gonna be on this, like it's not gonna be hot garbage, and it needs to change. So, but I digress.
Because if the movie's bad, they're gonna usually reflects the leading person. Like we've seen that like time and time again. So it's good that he's saying something and not just like, yo, let's just go with the flow. Because a lot of times we wonder how these movies got made that they were that bad. And a lot of times it could be people who were in the movies like, this ain't good, and they just don't say anything. And
it's like they don't, or they don't have enough cachet to get anything changed.
Prime example.
It's a situation where he does
that one because I heard Woman King is amazing. I need to go watch it, but I heard
I'm planning to watch that soon.
I heard it's
watch
amazing.
The history of that. If y'all haven't seen the history of it, go back and look at the actual history. That's all.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
The movie's one thing, but the history is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, there's a lot going. Like people love the movie, but there's a lot of like, especially on Twitter, people are going back and forth because it's not historically accurate. So the movie itself, people love, but they're saying that it's not like historically accurate to the actual history of that tribe or of those women. So that is. But going back to like what Jeff was saying about like movies, like when people see this and how do these movies actually get made? Prime example, the reason why I bring up Woman King is Viola Davis. If I was her and I saw myself as, Michelle Obama and the backlash that I got from that, I would have been like screen tests, like during these screen tests, because I'm sure they still do those, right? I'm assuming they do. Like, is there an audience that they sit down and say, okay, do you think this is going to do well?
Sure still a thing.
Is it, did anyone's like look at that before she did it and be like, you know what? I don't think this is a good idea. Like, I don't.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Like, right? Like,
I just probably also. I think like screen testing and like focus groups is also an art in and of itself.
Yeah, I
and, like,
agree.
You have to get certain people of certain demographics and people who are willing to give you this kind of feedback that will help you as well. I feel like a lot of studios will like, we spent so much money on this, we need to get a group who is going to give us the batteries in our backs to keep going forward, as opposed to basically tell us this is a mistake.
But that defeats the purpose of a that defeats the purpose of a defeats the purpose.
That's like having a friend that's just gonna tell you what you want to hear instead of telling you the truth. Like, hey, you
you
don't want that.
We have tons of humans who do exactly that.
You know what I mean? Like, nah, you tell me like what's the real deal.
If I'm a producer, director, or a screenwriter, and I have a movie that's coming out, I want people to give me the most honest opinion. Katrina, this is straight garbage. This is trash. This isn't gonna do well. I want difference of opinion. I would want people that are gonna give me their open, honest, constructive criticism, because at the end of the day, I'd rather have that in a small group than be embarrassed by everybody, if that makes any sense.
No, it does, but I feel like that's the kind of take that an individual and a creator would have over like kind of a faceless company that is spending millions of dollars on a project. Sometimes they just want,
I agree.
They want everyone to say this is a good idea because this is super risky, and turning back now essentially would just lose the millions of dollars we invested. Therefore, this focus group needs to be positive. These screen tests need to be positive, whatever. And then when we release it, they just get blindsided by the fact that, oh, it actually wasn't that good. It's like, we still made some money.
We saw that with Batgirl. They said the focus groups weren't good, and that's why the movie was canned.
Except that was a lie. That just wasn't true. They canned it for a tax write-off.
But when it comes to, and I think as consumers too, is another thing that drives a lot of these production companies just to put out stuff, because yes, there's a time, because I was just looking in the chat where somebody's like, people are tired of superhero movies. Yes, that can be a thing. People are getting worn out by them because you have people like, oh, well, what's the next phase? What's this coming out? What's that coming out? So instead of taking the time to, for quality of the product, you're like trying to please your customer base.
Mm-hmm. If I'm being honest, I don't think the tired thing is legit. Well, if it is, here's the thing. But then you'll have Spider-Man that comes out and breaks records. So if we're tired of it, you're still going to see it. Like let's be honest, like it's still breaking records. Like, and there's like a big gap in between like something that Spider-Man came out and then the next non-superhero movie that came out. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a big gap between how much money those movies earn. And that's kind of why, unfortunately, the theater industry is the way it is. If it's not a Marvel movie coming out, which you don't have every month, then you're not really getting that big draw like you normally do. So I think even though people are tired, they're still going to eat. You're still going to go and see these things because that's just the draw that they pull in.
And, you've heard like, legendary, directors and, people say about how, they need to give us a chance, or like, I think it was years ago, Martin Scorsese said, which is one of my favorite directors. He directed one of my favorite movies ever, Goodfellas. He said something to the effect of like, he thinks that he doesn't consider like superhero movies like real cinema or something to that effect, or
yeah,
he was basically like, you're just oversaturating or then I think James Cameron, he had said something about it as well. Like, bro, we don't want to see your blue people anymore. Like, we get it. I got it. Like, I remember I think it was when the first Black Panther came out, or like right before Endgame, he had announced that he was coming out with an Avatar, like I guess 3 more films. I was like, bro, we do not care. Yeah. Like, bro, we do not care. We want to see Endgame. Like, we are not concerned about your blue people right now. So
but you saw that they re-released Avatar in theaters in order to pad the lead that it has as like the highest grossing like movie thing, right?
Like, you've released it 3 times. Of course, it's going to be the highest grossing film of all time.
There's some definite spite there.
But I digress.
But if Blade is a very important character, because even when I watched Blade way back when, like even some of us knew that Blade was the pinnacle of Marvel, where they are at now. Mm-hmm. So being able to get that right for quite a bit of people is like, man, we need to kind of make sure we're not dropping the ball on this. And I don't know where they're going to take the script or how they're going to do it. But, if you watch the old, like, 90s cartoons where you saw Blade in various... right. He's intermingled so there are a lot of ways you can take Blade, and if he's worried about the action, I think Blade should have quite a bit of action sequences in it. Blade is not just like somewhat boring storytelling. Blade is the majority of it is action.
Yeah.
It's not a slow film per se.
All this exposition. It's not a whole movie full of exposition and then you show some cartoon fight scene. That's just not how that works. We don't need an origin story for Blade.
Right.
Right. that's already happened and we know.
Have him show up killing vampires and
I do have a question though for you gentlemen. Do you think that Blade, the one obviously because this is the Blade for the MCU, so it's different essentially. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it should keep that R rating?
Yes.
I doubt it will. It will.
I hope.
Not if it will, but would you like it to keep that rating?
Oh, absolutely.
It's Blade. Why not? It's like Deadpool.
I don't know. Like I personally don't get that much more out of a movie having an R rating than not. Like
I think it was more so the blood and the gore. Remember how things were getting cut in half, stuff like that.
But now that it's Disney,
but like if you cut a vampire and they disintegrate versus blood spills across the room, like to me that's like the same effect. Like I don't get more out of it because it's blood, But I mean, I could take it either way. Like I don't have a strong preference one way or the other.
Right.
I mean, but if you're looking for audience draw, I guess. But I mean, it's Blade though.
Right. I can see Blade going either way.
But if the old Blade was able to get by with it, why not this one? It's the same premise.
Well,
yeah, and Marvel can push.
Yeah, they can push
that. Yeah, like they have the.
But if they're gonna push that, I think they're gonna do it for a more character who's more synonymous with an R rating, which would be the Punisher. Like, when I think of the Punisher, I don't think there's a way to do Punisher without.
No, there's no way. Yeah.
Yeah, but Blade, you could squeak it by. Not maybe not an R rating, but a PG-13.
Why not?
Is there like an in between PG-13 and R? I think it's just either PG-13 or R rating or mature.
Is NC-17 above R or is that?
That's a good question. I've only heard that a few times. That's a good question.
I want to say I think NC-17 is right below rated R. Because it goes like because NC-17 I think it's saying obviously need to be 17 or older, and the rated R is just
18 and older, right?
Yeah, like
18. Mm-hmm.
But what rating is above?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the only reason that it would be rated R is depending on how they do the fight scenes and how how gory they want it to be per se. If it's anything like the old Blade wasn't too bad when it came to. So if it's something similar to that, I can see that would be the reason for an R rating.
Well, actually, NC-17 is above rated. It's
above
G, PG, PG-13, R, and then NC-17. No one under 17 omitted.
Oh, so what's R then? Oh, without a parent.
R
so this is no matter if you have a parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian.
All right.
But yeah, they screwed this. I think, like I said, this route that they were going with Blade and Black Knight and Werewolf by Night, that's a whole separate way that a whole separate side of Marvel we haven't seen, which Blade could be the stepping stone for that. And if it's done right, it could be a whole reverse side. Like they're dealing with different things than, I was saying they dealt with the supernatural vampires and, Dracula and other stuff like that. So like that could be a great way to get that side of Marvel that we haven't seen. And it starts with Blade. So if you mess that up, like, Well,
they're already they're looking to bring back Constantine. So if they bring Constantine.
Well, that's DC. And then
no. I'm just saying, like, we've had, like, certain characters intermingle between, how should I say this? Because I've seen it done it before in, like, the comics or whatever. You have certain DC characters and Marvel characters, I guess.
They've done crossover events. I don't see them doing that.
Yeah,
in the movies, unfortunately, just because it's so. Yeah,
they're way too competitive at this point.
I've seen them do that in
movies,
movies.
I don't think Marvel would have anything to gain from like DC could probably, but honestly, I feel like DC and Warner Bros. Would be too proud to like be like, all right, well, Marvel's gonna let us in on some of their success. Like I'd be like, no, we can do this. Why haven't we done this? Is kind of DC's attitude. And Marvel's like, well, you guys can struggle all you want over there. We'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Because the same thing with the dark side, the Dark Avengers. I mean, not Dark Avengers, the Justice League Dark. You have Constantine. You have
right, yeah. So you know what I mean. So it would be nice to see now if you're going to look at movies in that direction. Now that'd be a whole different take if they were able to
come. It'd be a refresh. It'd be a nice refresh. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, but you know, corporate greed and whatever you want to put in there, and you know, people just.
But I will say they are trying different things. Like the Werewolf by Night is that black and white horror film. You have She-Hulk, which is that legal comedy, which I was opposed to at first, but it's good. I'm glad they're trying new things. I do. I hate the law. You hear that cat? But
crossovers would be interesting to see.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. See. It would be very interesting if they did a crossover. If that'll ever happen, I don't know. But like we do have Blade, who's probably going to cross over with Werewolf by Night. You're going to cross over with. We saw him in Eternals talking to Dane Whitman, the Black Knight, Kit Harington. But we didn't see him; we heard him. And then you have Moon Knight. All those people are that whole supernatural situation. It could be a side to help refresh some of the people who are tired of the tried and true Marvel formula and help touch on another side. You know. So when you go back to the tried and true, it seems more refreshed because you kind of deviated from it a little bit.
And that's the thing, like, because this is what Universal was attempting to do with their Universal Monsters crossover universe. So Marvel can literally just pull the rug out from under them with their supernatural thing. But I disagree in that this will be a thing that they spend time with and then go back to superheroes. More than likely, they'll just have them both run concurrently.
That's what I'm saying. They'll do a little both. But I meant like when. If they release Blade this month, but the next month they release something that deals with the regular old smuggler, right? Then it feels more fresh. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just the same thing each release.
Well, now they're starting to because isn't he like an anti-hero? Is that
he's more of a I guess you could say that because he's not your traditional hero. But he's also not as anti-hero as like
Black Adam.
He would be the Punisher. Instead of killing villains. He's killing vampires. He's not putting them in jail. So he's not saying you getting locked up.
What is a vampire jail?
I don't know. Is that like a garlic factory? You just lock them up.
Oh my god. No, but I feel like they're it's not like you said the cookie cutter. The good person the good people always prevail. For example, Scarlet Witch. Oh my God. Like, it's not always, I think No Way Home really solidified that as well with Tom Holland.
Man.
You're not always going to win and it's not always going to have a positive, happy outcome. Yeah, like, they killed
Hot.
I'm not going to lie. Like when I saw the scene where he walks into the coffee shop, and he's like has this whole letter, to MJ to tell him who she is and who they are and XYZ, and that look in his face. I'm not gonna lie, I teared up because that sucked. It sucked really bad. But no, you can just see that maybe the one positive thing I think is that they're kind of going away from the, as a team we can band together. Wonder Twin powers activate. We're a team. We're all in this together kind of thing. And they're telling more like darker stories in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but anywho,
the whole hero never wins type deal. Like, there's gonna be a bad ending.
Yeah, there's always a consequence.
It's interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that because you remember how certain horror movies where the heroine or the hero always gets away and nowadays it's like Saw. Like
ain't nobody saved.
The back, ain't nobody saved. Like the whole movie, just everybody gets scrapped. So, until the next one. So you know what I mean. So like you said, going to dark versions of it and seeing different types of endings. I mean, but the way how certain people might feel about that, who knows? Like you said, it's another way of refreshing, other ways of doing movies. You know what I mean? Just
Right.
It's not gonna end this way. This is just how it is.
Right.
Which is good, you know. So hopefully they get it together.
Exactly. So we'll keep an eye on the goings on. Like we already heard that there's going to be a rewrite, so that's one step in the right direction.
Right.
But we'll move on from the Blade topic here and get into our final topic of the day: Google's end to Stadia.
Wow, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, we pretty much knew for a while now. Like the last thing Google had to announce in terms of Stadia was I want to say about a year ago, where they said that they were shutting down all of their first party studios, and then at the same time, kind of attempted to assure us like, oh no, the Stadia platform is still going to be running. We're just not going to make any games for it ourselves, which just doesn't really make any sense. Like if you're supporting a certain studio. But real quick, I just want to go into a brief history of my personal feelings towards the Stadia platform, because the first version of this podcast called the BBET Gamescast was how long ago it was when Stadia was like announced.
Yeah,
and I
was ecstatic.
I went on this podcast and I was the biggest fan.
Yeah, he was.
Of what this could mean for games. I sat there like,
I remember
Google's such a good player. like the technology of having everything be in the cloud, like not having a centralized console, like everything that they were talking about was right up my alley. Like it was the shakeup that the video game world would have needed and profited from, and I still hold to that to this day. That Stadia could have been a monumental shift in just video games, period. But every step of the way, Google fumbled the ball. They decided to just do anything to do. Well, I should say they decided to do nothing that would have given them a leg up over any of the competition.
Right.
For reasons that I cannot fathom. Like I don't know why they made the decisions they made. But what about you guys? Like we all saw this coming, but like how were any of you all kind of interested in Stadia, or from the beginning you were like, this is dumb. It's Google. They'll kill it in a couple years and move on? Because I was very excited at the start.
I need one for a collector's item. I ain't even buy one. I might have to go get one now.
Because they're giving refunds. But I think
I saw that too. Yeah, they're
giving refunds. And a bunch of companies. I mean, I can't say I was overly excited, but I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, let's say that's the route I want to go for like PC gaming, then I don't have to constantly upgrade my system. And it was good for people who, like you said, you don't want to have to worry about, you buy the controller, they deal with all the processing. You're just kind of like streaming the game. But I think you mentioned this too. If they went the route of Game Pass, then that would have been more of a catalog of gaming. And that's something that they had the money to do, but they did not go that route.
And I think what's really interesting is you're Google. You're literally Google. The amount of resources that you have are limitless. So it's just really interesting to me how they essentially, like you said, they fumbled the bag. Is that the correct term to use? Is that what the cool kid? Yeah. Is that what the cool kids are saying nowadays? Like they fumbled. Like it doesn't make any sense to me, because it is as a obviously I'm more of a console gamer than a PC gamer, but it does make sense as a PC gamer, especially for streaming. Like if you're going to be streaming on like platforms and stuff, that seems like the perfect thing to use. But I kind of feel like maybe people just weren't interested in because they just like their consoles. Like I wasn't.
No, I think you're hitting the nail on the head with that.
Like it's just kind of like, I like my Nintendo Switch. I like my,
PlayStation
PS5,
and Xbox.
Yes, I like these things. Why? I like doing these things. So why pay more for?
Why migrate?
Why migrate? Yeah.
That was the main problem. That was the thing that and oh my God, because it was staring them in the face. Game Pass existed. It was staring them in the face. This is how you differentiate the functionality of your service with the fact that people already have game libraries. Like Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, folks have libraries on those consoles. They have ecosystems that they belong to. And for you to say, here's another one, and not give them an incentive to switch over to it other than what?
Being diskless.
Have the console.
Being diskless is really the only kind of thing it had, really, because everything else, everybody else already had.
That's the thing. Everyone else had hardware, and Google was basically saying like, "Hey, you don't need hardware." But it's like, if you're appealing to a bunch of people who already have hardware,
Right.
you can't tell them don't use that $500 box that you pay for anymore. You gotta tell them we have more games, we have more services, more features in our cloud environment that you can't get on that box you paid $500 for. And then they need to make the barrier to entry basically negligible. And they didn't do that either. And there was like a monthly thing that you paid, Stadia Pro, I believe it's called, that gave you a couple of lackluster games every month. Like, they were copying the games with Gold PlayStation Plus model,
right?
When they should have been copying Game Pass. They should have said, if you pay us a monthly fee, you get a library that follows you everywhere.
Right.
And they didn't do that.
Which would make sense.
Yeah, because that's exactly what Microsoft did first. Then PlayStation followed after. And I believe now Nintendo is in the mix in the same boat with all that.
Like, Nintendo's doing their own twist on it.
Yeah, their own.
You know, it's Nintendo. They don't follow any rules.
Right. But I remember when we first talked about it when Stadia came out, and Microsoft started with the Game Pass, and it was, it's going, but that would have been the route that they would have had to take. Like, that was the only line for them to take. Anything else?
Pushing back in chat a little bit. He says, I know a lot of people who didn't have libraries who did switch to using Stadia, KC. Hardcore gamers have libraries and hardware, but a lot of people aren't hardcore. And while that is true, you can see the result of just the casual people being the ones to switch.
But even
like, it didn't last because they don't play games enough. Like, that's the whole point. Like, if you want that service to continue to like churn out, content and
you need the hardcore gamers and
developers. Yeah, you need hardcore players who are going to spend hours and hours and hours on that platform, and casual gamers just aren't going to do that.
Well, that and the fact that when you have loyalists to a system, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you have those hardcore, I only play
the folks who will evangelize.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You have to play this on Stadia because everywhere else is the worst place to play it. Like, even if that's, hyperbole or whatever, that echo chamber in different pockets of the internet will affect some of the more casual players who are like, all right, well, maybe I'll check out Stadia.
And I
think that narrative when Cyberpunk released and it was like, trash everywhere but PC. If you didn't have a strong enough PC, you could have played it on Stadia because it apparently worked fine on Stadia.
Right. Now, I will say that,
but like, you still had to pay like a full $60 for that. To play it there, and then afterwards you could have been in the ecosystem. But instead, if you play and finish Cyberpunk, that was the only game you had in that library.
Right.
That was it. Like, what else do I need with Stadia now that I've played the game that I cared about, Cyberpunk, and now I'll go back to my regular life, not playing video games.
Right.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
The thing they needed was an exclusive that you can only play on Stadia that could draw people.
Yeah.
Draw people in.
Clearly that was part of the plan at the beginning, which is why they were forming studios.
And it just didn't set. But on the other end, like, if it was a library thing where parents go, I could buy my son just a Stadia and I don't have to buy anything else. It comes with all these games for this amount. Some of the same appeals that come from Game Pass would now go to Stadia.
It would have appealed more than Game Pass because
that's
without the actual box.
Exactly,
like, you don't have to buy a box that's tied. And Microsoft eventually started moving away from the actual box as well, trying to get PC Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
But in that regard, you still need decent enough
hardware to run.
Not because they keep sectioning off their library in that way. Because like, you can have PC Game Pass where you download a game, but then you have PC Game Pass with cloud where you can just play it through the browser and whatnot. But if Stadia was saying, like, look, we have our own data centers, we have all the games that you can play everywhere else on this cloud service, like, all they had to do was support it. Put the money behind making those deals. Yeah. And they apparently just didn't want to.
Yeah.
After 2 years, they stopped developing, and nothing even came out in 2 years, mind you.
Right.
They attempted to put like AAA talent to get exclusive content, but gave them less than 2 years to release a game before they said, forget this isn't working. And then 1 year later, just X the whole system after that. Like, what the hell were they thinking?
So Sigma, my question to you, in your line of work and in your professional opinion, why do you think this happened? Like, if you were to sit, like, obviously you said you don't understand why this happened. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But in your honest professional opinion, why do you think that Google fumbled Stadia the way that they did?
I think that a bunch of execs were looking at the bottom lines of a lot of these video game companies and not looking at the path that got them there. Like they're looking at how much money something like Red Dead Redemption 2 sold and GTA Online sold, and how much like microtransactions are bringing in for EA and Take-Two and PlayStation and Microsoft. They're like, look, this is a place where we can make money.
Cash money.
So put a team together, figure out a way to break into this industry. And then you got a bunch of smart people who work at Google who said, this is a smart way to bring to the industry. But then their bosses essentially went like, all right, well, do it how I remember. Do it how these console makers did it several years ago, because that worked for them several years ago, as opposed to, you know, thinking forward and looking at how things are changing and what will happen to the industry in the future.
You know what?
So it was like they had future tech, but they had very backwards ways of thinking in terms of getting that future tech into people's homes.
That reminds me of Netflix and Blockbuster. That is exactly what you referenced to right there when I'm thinking about it, because the old way of thinking, because we all know Blockbuster could have bought Netflix. Because Blockbuster had its way of thinking, cost them, and then you see who's in business and who's not. But in my opinion, they didn't structure how, because when we look at it was a good idea, no hardware, have everything streaming. But now you figure out, okay, what am I paying? What's going on here? This and that. How are we going to get these titles on here? The cloud, this and that. I think money was an issue in certain ways, but Google can write that off, just like Microsoft. Microsoft business is not gaming. Microsoft business is making billions of dollars elsewhere. They can afford to do this with Game Pass and everything else.
And that was, I think, one of the core differences between a company like Microsoft when they decided to get into gaming and a company like Google, because Microsoft, at least at the time, they took it seriously and went like, you know what, we're in this for the long haul. We're going to commit to this. And Google was like, we'll experiment, and legitimately did not give enough time to kind of see where it went. Like 2 to 3 years is not enough time to get a brand new video game platform off the ground. Like not one of these companies blew up within that amount of time. Not Nintendo, who kind of initiated like the big boom after, you know, the video game crash back in the 80s and 70s.
Atari and all that after that, yeah.
Yeah. Friggin' PlayStation had a rough go of it. Their first time out, like it wasn't until the PlayStation 2 that they really became a market leader. And the same thing with Xbox. The entire original Xbox console, like it had fans, but it wasn't until the 360 that they got their foot
in the door, right?
But so like I don't know who was pulling the strings there, but whoever that was did not have a vested interest in staying in games.
Let's see, and
they had a vested interest in making money.
And I think that's the thing where whoever was sitting at that perspective, they weren't looking at, well, Xbox already has this, PlayStation already has this, Nintendo already has this. We know we have to get the majority of those games in the cloud. So what's the cost basis for it? You know what I mean? I mean, everybody has pretty much the same games on all the systems, for the exception of, we all know every system has a franchise games or franchise characters for that system. You know what I mean? There hasn't been much crossover per se with certain characters. We all know this. So Stadia, there's no way Stadia was gonna, unless they, like you said, in the long haul, develop some type of franchise or something that's exclusive to that. So
one of their first party studios release a single game, because I can't think of one. Like they did have exclusives, but they were like from third-party devs. But Google owned about 2 to 3 first-party studios that they said would be making experience. Like one was led by Jade Raymond, who, you know, famously worked on the first Assassin's Creed. Like they didn't let any of these studios actually release a game.
Right. And 2 years is no time.
The more y'all, and I think, you know, like you said, you know, Microsoft originally, they were a software company, a computer company, but now, since, you know, they dedicated money, time, essentially patience to, you know, putting their foot into the video game world, when people hear about Microsoft, they automatically think video games. Like now, when I think about Microsoft, I don't even think about computers.
Yeah, you forget about Office.
Yeah, you forget about
Office 365 and Microsoft PowerPoint. Like when I think about Microsoft, I'm automatically gonna think Xbox. I'm automatically think a video game. So, unfortunately, Google. It just seems the more that you gentlemen talk about it, it just seems like it was an extremely unorganized process.
Facts.
People did not do the research, or they did the research, and like you said, Sigma, the Zex did not care. This is what I want. Get me from point A to point B. I don't care how you get there. I just want to make money. So,
like they're looking at their watch the whole time. Like, you still haven't sold a billion copies or something?
Yeah. So it just seems like they, for example, like there's so many, like you said, with Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox, the PlayStation 1, that was kind of like their foot in the door. A little bumpy. PS2 came out, and PS2 is still the highest selling console to this day, which is crazy. That is still a high selling console. Unfortunately, my favorite system, the Dreamcast, did not do so well, but
I still have one of those too. I love the Dreamcast.
I love the Dreamcast. It's my favorite console.
Power Stone, Skies of Arcadia.
Yes.
Oh, Crazy Taxi.
Yes. Bass Pro Fishing, but anyways. But yeah, it just seems that Google they were impatient. The execs or whoever was spearheading this or in charge of this, they didn't see the results in the time that they wanted to, so that's why they just decided to axe it completely. But that's just my opinion.
No, yeah, exactly that. So it's sad, but at the very least, there's still a cloud option, because like the stuff that they were toting in terms of like functionality, like they're still really good ideas. Maybe Microsoft can just steal them now, like the stuff where like servers are basically all in the cloud, so like that essentially eliminates cheating, for example, because like there's no server side stuff going into the game. Or they had like weird picture in picture type functionality where like you could see your friends' gameplay in little boxes, because you're like, they're streaming it, you're just streaming it from the same data center that they are when they're watching the game and stuff. So like, I don't know, if they focus a little bit more on that, you can really get some unique and cool experiences that Stadia won't have. But I mean, one other point I want to bring up about this is how shitty Google was about the shutdown as well, because there were developers who had games releasing on Stadia like this week or like next month, and they're like, they weren't told that the service was going to disappear outright in January, which means whatever work they had to do or whatever deals they made or whatever money they put.
Wait, so they found out like everyone else did?
They found out when everyone else did.
That is foul. That is so foul. I'm sorry.
And they're saying like, yeah, they're refunding everyone who paid for Stadia service and any hardware or whatever. Like all those customers are getting refunded. But in terms of the devs who are like kind of behind the scenes, that's a little more shaky. Like, I haven't heard anything about how they're being compensated for not having a place to release their game after those deals were made. So I'm assuming something will be done. I just haven't heard about it yet, because there were
messed up.
A lot of disgruntled people on the internet.
That is a really bad business practice. And obviously Google's a multi-billion-dollar, company, but like, I kind of feel like that's just a really bad business practice. Like, these are the people that believed, first of all, these were developers that probably could have gone anywhere else. They probably could have, and they probably do maybe have other things in the works, but they could have, pitched their things to other people or other companies or other, but they believed in Stadia, or they believe that this is a perfect place for my game. And are these the first?
Oh no, these are like third parties who, because like fan bases will ask people like, hey, is this going to get a Stadia release? And some devs will be like, all right, well, to make everybody happy, like, yeah, I'll put it on these platforms and I'll put it on Stadia, because Stadia gets left out in a lot of new game releases.
Right.
Like in the comments of a lot of the reviews I've done, folks were like, oh, this game was actually on Stadia. How come you didn't mention it? Because I didn't see that anywhere. Like, I look up the games I review. I see like what platforms they're going to be on. I see like how much the price is, blah, blah, blah. And you won't find information about a Stadia release on the internet, because like Google didn't give a damn.
Well, see, and that's the model where we were just talking about how if every game is coming out on the system, and obviously Stadia is going to have to get it too, what is the cost for them and everything else? Like, it doesn't matter that much to them, I guess. Well, do I really want to play full price for a whole nother game on a whole nother system when I already have it on 3 other ones?
Right.
You know what I mean?
So, a lot of devs were trying to make fixes so that people who played cross-platform games could cross-save on other systems because Stadia was going down. I did see that as well.
Yeah, there was a story of a guy who put like close to 6,000 hours in Red Dead Redemption Online
on Stadia,
and like on Stadia.
Whew.
And like there exists no way to transfer that to
heated.
Right
I would be
he's like
so
petitioning
mad.
Rockstar, like Rockstar, please give me a way to one-time transfer my character over to blah blah blah. I don't know if Rockstar has a capability or will care.
I would, if I was a developer, or if I was someone like at Rockstar, I would do everything. If I saw that, I would do everything in my power to do that, because that is. I mean,
because that's good PR, right?
6,000 hours.
But if they do it for this one guy, is that a service they have to then look into for anybody else who was playing on Stadia?
But you know what? If it's in the cloud, why not just do people justice and just transfer it? You don't have to do it, but it would definitely, the whole PR part, say, hey, look, we shutting this down, but since we already have these games and it's in the cloud, why can't we just do this?
Like, someone spent 6,000 hours on something that you created. So obviously they believe in what you've done, or whatever game it may be. 6,000 hours, I'd be hot. I'm suing somebody.
There's probably a way to carry that character over. Kings F42 says, how are RDO characters not server-side stored? They probably are. It's probably just, it probably is something that Rockstar has to allow.
Yeah.
I'd sue. I'm going to court.
They just have to be like, all right, fine, you can move this character who was on this.
Bruh, that's rough.
To that.
I'm suing for emotional distress. I'm done.
I mean,
that's a lot of hours.
Yeah, that is. I'd be hot. Like, wait, could you imagine if Microsoft said we're shutting down Xbox and everything else, and people done put thousands of hours in certain games? What?
They did it with Mixer, so they're not. They totally did it with Mixer.
Well, you saw how that worked out.
It's like, hey, whatever fan bases and communities you built up over here.
But I shut this down. Yeah, see ya.
I hope they really like you. And just follow you to wherever else you got to go.
Well, bad. Yeah, that's. And people still salty about that today.
Yes, I'm one of those people. But I think that's gonna wrap things up. Anything else you want to add on the Google Stadia situation, or do you want to close up shop?
I think that's it for me.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you.
I'm good.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me once again. Jeff, why don't you let folks know where they can find you and what you'll be doing next week?
Oh man, tomorrow I'll probably be doing some. I'm trying to decide between multiverses or Fortnite no build mode. Tomorrow 7 p.m. Eastern, probably on the Open Party channel. I think that's it for this week. But if you're looking for me, you can find me at SupermanJeff12 across all social media. If you're not part of the Discord, then you're missing out. We play a lot of things in there during the week and have a lot of these discussions about different things in the Discord as well. So definitely come out.
True. The Fat Stacks, what do you have coming up, and where can folks find you?
Well, after this, I got some chores to do. Try to cut some grass.
Find me at my house.
Yeah, I
gotta buy me some water, please.
Make some breakfast or something, and maybe try to get into some Apex later, maybe. But if anybody wants to join for Apex, you can find me in all the socials: The Fat Stacks, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, The Fat Stacks. Other than that, I mean, I'm not doing much throughout the week. I just kind of stay busy with the anime, and if you guys are looking for anime stuff, I am getting quite the collection for you guys in a variety of ways when it comes to blankets, cups. It's not just figures, wall scrolls, hats, and all that. So, the store has a variety of anime items. So if you're looking for anime stuff, just like I said, hit me up in the socials, or if you're looking for something very specific. So once again, if you guys, Mario Kart, Apex, oh, and I'll be doing a lot of Overwatch too when it does come out. That's what I'm on.
Yeah.
We gotta get down with that.
Yeah, so y'all let me know, because that's like next week too, I believe.
That's Tuesday,
it drops.
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, so
maybe I'll do something Tuesday, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you already holler at your boy, man.
We will do that.
Alrighty, Yokina Cat, where can folks find you, and what are you up to this week, if anything?
I can be found at Yokina Cat. It's the same on Twitter and Instagram. This week, it's probably gonna be Monster Hunter, so I can, start getting familiar with that and playing it. And then also, there is a streamer that goes by the name of Mr. Two Sugars. That's his streamer name on Twitch, and he is actually a streamer from the UK, and he is a Tekken god on Tekken, so he streams a lot. Yeah, so I'm actually gonna be playing him. I'm not sure when, but I'll actually be playing with him. I think he usually streams on PC, but he also has Tekken on PlayStation. So
as you do when you're a Tekken god.
So I think I'm gonna be playing with him hopefully sometime this week, but I kind of want to stream it.
Please do. I want to see that.
Yeah, because I'm only, oh my god. Tekken got, there's I think like 35 ranks in Tekken, and I am currently I'm like 20. I forgot I think it's like Savior or something. I'm like haven't been ranked, I'm not sure, but he's a Tekken god. So I'm a little nervous because it's like I've never played against someone who's at a Tekken god rank. So it's pretty, that's what I'm gonna be doing. So keep a lookout for that. I'll put it in the Discord, the Open Party Discord. That's somewhere else where you can find me. I usually pop my head in there and say hello every once in a while. No, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna be up to this week.
Awesome. As for me, you can find me at SigmaGears9 right here on Twitch as well as Twitter, where I usually announce other streams that I'm doing throughout the week, either on The Escapist or on this channel or with the Open Party. Speaking of which, Super Smash Sunday this afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Should be on with Jeff, getting more of those 1v1s and King of the Hill games going. So join us for that. It's always a fun time. And don't be intimidated by the perceived notion of just high skill play Smash. We help everybody out. We have folks who have come in and have been total noobs at Smash who are now winning matches against Jeff and I.
Yeah.
Like,
scared of you.
We'll help you get there.
Yeah.
So join us for that. Outside of that, I just had a review go up on The Escapist for Shovel Knight Dig, so check that out. And I can't really think of much else, but I just keep an eye on the Twitters and the Escapist magazine, whatever, because like a really cool preview is coming up. I'll get to check out something that I've been really excited about for a little while.
Oh, nice.
And I think you guys will be into as well. So other than that, thanks everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thanks to my 3 guests. It's been fun. We'll catch you all next week. Peace. It is not my preview of Dragon Ball Z: The Breakers.
Nice.
I will never play that game. I promise. Promise you. Peace, y'all.